Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of What If Naruto Went Back in Time and Joined Uzumaki clan. If you enjoy the video then like, share and subscribe and also comment your thoughts as it inspires me to make more such videos. Also check out my other playlist, hope you would like them too. So let's get started. Chapter 4 Test. It has been many years since Naruto had been so in peace. When the Uzumaki was back in his own time, he was used to living in constant change. Their forces would be in one place in the morning and another by nightfall, and that made Naruto yearn for a stable home. It was depressing to say the least that Naruto had to travel back in time to the era of warring states to find peace in his own life. After speaking with the higher-ups of the Uzumaki clan, Mito had led Naruto over to a home that was at the heart of the village. It belonged to the Uzumaki clan, and John Ryusai would rent these homes out to his shinobi to live in. All Naruto had to do for rent was to pay a feeble 2,000 ryo a month, which was basically the pay of a simple B-ranked mission. Naruto was very happy to live in a home again rather than a camp. He may not look like it, but Naruto enjoyed decorating his own home and making it into his own image. He loved that he finally had a place that he could call his own and he could alter it much as he wanted without having to move every few hours. Back in his own time, and before his untimely death, Kakashi would often tease Naruto for buying different items whenever they would pass through a town. "How are you liking this place?" asked Mito with a smile on her face. Naruto turned his sight back to the beautiful woman and nodded with a smile. "I love it, thank you again, Mito-sama." The red-haired lady placed her hands on her hips and have Naruto a look. "Just call me Mito, I was never one for formalities." The blonde chuckled and nodded back. "Okay. Then please just call me Naruto." Naruto smiled as he looked around his house. It was of average size, about 1,000 sq feet, and it was very efficient. It had 2 bedrooms, a full kitchen, 1 full bathroom, and a nice little balcony that had a perfect view of the village. It was much nicer than the run-down little apartment Naruto had back in Konoha, and was heaven compared to his tent during the war. The house was still a bit too empty for Naruto's tastes, and he wanted to buy some paintings or decorations to fill the house up. Mito smirked and leaned against a wall. "Are you planning to buy something for your house?" Naruto smirked back and nodded. "You read my mind, Mito. Do you know any good stores?" The Uzumaki heiress nodded. "Follow me, Naruto, I'll show you around town." Mito led her new friend through the busy streets of the Uzumaki village, and they attracted quite a bit of attention around them. It has been less than a day since Naruto had arrived in the village, and the news of him saving the heiress had been floating around town quite quickly. It was unusual for the people to know that a wayward Uzumaki young man had saved the heiress out of chance. In a way, they thought that Naruto and Mito were destined to meet somehow. Naruto was not bothered at all by the people around him staring at him blatantly. He had grown used to it when he was the supreme commander of his allied forces. Instead, Naruto focused most of his attention at the lively and happy atmosphere of the village. It made him really happy to see others being so at peace. People were joking and laughing the streets, and strangers had great courtesy for one another. The cynical population Naruto had grown used to was gone. Or hadn't been born yet. For the next hour, Mito showed Naruto the main stores of the village, not only the furniture stores, but also the supermarkets and general stores. Naruto, by the end of the hour, had bought enough to fill his house up quite a bit. Luckily for Naruto, he had brought back quite a bit of money from his time. Naruto sealed everything he bought into a simple scroll that he sealed into his wrist. It really was very convenient. Mito had her hands entwined behind her back and a smile on her face. "So how are you liking the village so far?" chirped the girl happily. Naruto smiled at Mito's innocence and nodded. "I love it already. It's great to know that I have a home again." The heiress smiled brightly. "That's great!" exclaimed the girl gladly. "I'm sure you will like it more and more." It was still a surprise to Naruto that the legendary Uzumaki Mito, one of the strongest kunoichi to ever live, would be such a childish girl at the moment. Mito greatly reminded Naruto of himself when he was younger, a young and eager person who wanted to become a strong ninja. Naruto was glad that Mito was still her innocent self. He knew better than anyone that when one officially becomes a shinobi, they would never be the same ever again. Naruto was still who he was in his youth by a margin. He knew that he would no longer be as naive or as brash, but he was still Uzumaki Naruto. but becoming more cynical and dubious were facts that Naruto cannot deny. The mature Naruto would always check his back, he would always question every stranger, he would never allow a defect to join his army, and he would never leave any loose ends. The life of a shinobi had turned out to be nothing like what Naruto thought it was when he was a kid. It was much more realistic and harsh, and that was absolute. Mito-chan, cried a happy Inuzuka as she ran over to her best friend. Mito smiled over at the red-haired cowgirl. Hey Inuzuka-chan. Inuzuka stopped in front of Naruto, and Mito with a bright smile on her face. I finally found you, I had been looking for you for half an hour already. The heiress looked a little sheepish. Sorry, but I was helping Naruto get some things for his home. Naruto nodded and smiled at Inuzuka. Yes. Inuzuka placed a hand on her hips and smirked at Naruto. So you really are an Uzumaki. I was wondering if John Ryusai-sama would allow you to stay. Naruto smiled and nodded. Yes, John Ryusai-sama was most kind and understanding. From now on I am official a part of the Uzumaki clan, said the man as Mito nodded at his words. Inuzuka nodded and offered her hand to Naruto. Well, welcome aboard Naruto-san, I am Uzumaki Inuzuka, nice to meet you. The lone blonde Uzumaki graciously gripped Inuzuka's hand and smiled. Nice to meet you as well, Inuzuka-san, I hope to work with you sometime in the future. Naruto's words reminded Mito of something important. That's right, To-chan haven't official given you a rank yet. Rank? Muttered Naruto softly as he wondered if the ranking for shinobi were still the same as his time. Mito nodded as she faced Naruto fully. Yes, in our clan, shinobi and kunoichi all have individual ranks, and To-chan assigns them according to skills. Explained the girl as she looked up to the sky absent-mindedly and thought. Just like the Senju clan, we classify our shinobi as genin, chunin and jounin, with the last one being the most skilled. Naruto nodded in understanding, while silently glad that the ranking system was the same. Based on what I saw of your skills, I believe you should be a jounin. Inuzuka rose a brow in surprise. Really? Asked the girl to her best friend. He's that strong. He looks to be our age. Naruto looked sheepish as Mito nodded assuringly. Yes, Naruto's skill are definitely good, I'll even say that he might give Tobirama a run for his money, announced the heiress as Inuzuka's eyes widened. I'm not so sure with Hashirama, but I know Naruto would be able to hold his own against him. Naruto was a humble man, but the kind words of Mito gave him a jolt of pride. After all, it is not every day that one is praised by the legendary Uzumaki Mito that he could potentially be equal to the Shodai and Nidaime Hokage. But these thoughts brought Naruto to the main question, was he really in the league of the Shodai and Nidaime? Naruto had fought alongside the two great men when they were in their reanimated forms, and he noticed that he was equal with them then. But he no longer had control over Kurama, so that left him on the disadvantage. Although the two Hokages were now normal human and were not as strong as they would be when resurrected, so Naruto would conclude that they were not far off in power. Inuzuka suddenly had a smirk on her face. Well, you sure have a lot of faith in him, Mito-chan. Is someone crushing on her savior? Asked the girl with wiggling eyebrows. Naruto was amused, but Mito blushed and spluttered at her friend. Quite kidding around, Inuzuka, cried the embarrassed heiress and dignified. I was being serious here. Inuzuka giggled and crossed her arms together. Well, I was serious as well. And the blush on your face isn't helping your case. Seeing that Mito was getting very flustered, Naruto intervened and saved the poor girl from further awkwardness. That's enough for now, Inuzuka-san. Mito is already flustered enough, said Naruto casually with a smile on his face. Do you two know of a good ramen stand around here? I am really craving for some. Mito was glad that she was out of the spotlight and nodded to Naruto's question. You have good taste, Naruto. There is a great ramen place here in the village, said Mito with a smile on her face. We go there a lot. Inuzuka grinned and nodded along. It looks like we have another ramen lover, exclaimed the girl as she linked her arm with Mito's. Let's go pay Ichigo-san another visit. Naruto gladly followed his two fellow Uzumakis through one of the mellow streets in the village. It was reaching evening and the sun was beginning to set, marking the first day of Naruto back in the past. Naruto's own evaluation for his travel to the past has so far been very successful. In less a day he had already joined the Uzumaki clan, which was much faster than the predicted 3 months. It seems that his ancestors' clan was much more lenient than he imagined. Even the leader of the village hadn't suspected him. While it was certainly a good thing for Naruto, he couldn't help but worry for the future of his clan. The Uzumakis were far too trusting, and that might very well lead to their downfall even if they were powerful enough to last through the Great Wars. Naruto was glad that there was so much humanity in his clan, but keeping its best interest in mind, Naruto planned to change the naive vantage point of his clan soon. The last thing Naruto wanted to do was to destroy the integrity and honor that made the Uzumaki clan what it was, but the lack of integrity and honor were small prices to pay in order to stay in existence. Naruto was broken out of his stupor when Mito patted him on the shoulder. "We're here, Naruto," chirped the girl as she pointed up at a small stand named Ichiya's Ramen. Seeing the small ramen stand made Naruto remember his dear surrogate uncle and his daughter. Ichiraku and his daughter had been the surrogate family Naruto desperately needed as a child, and he knew that without them he would have most likely lost himself in darkness. It will always be one of Naruto's greatest regret that he couldn't save them from death during one of Madara's terrible raids. The small ramen stand had one of the less fortunate structures of Konoha, having been struck by a stray paper bomb fired by one of the Ukka's minions. Asuka, still linked together with Mito, walked into the stand with a smile on her face. "Hey Ichiya-san, the usual please." Ichiya was a middle-aged man with a kind fatherly look. He was a man with a tall stature and had short red hair that barely reached the back of his neck. He had on an apron that looked to be quite old considering all the grease spots on it, and his body shared the same delightful aroma with his small stand. The man had a smile on his face when he saw two of his regular customers stroll in, and not just because they were here for business. "Mito-chan," exclaimed the man happily as he stopped his cooking to greet Mito properly. "You're home." Mito smiled and nodded happily. "Of course I'm home, just your ramen is enough motivation for me to survive any mission." Ichiya laughed heartedly and nodded. "Have whatever you want today, Mito-chan, everything is on the house," exclaimed the man excited. "I am celebrating that one of my best customers made it home safe and sound." Asuka pouted at the man and looked up at him with her puppy dog eyes jutsu. "Ichiya-san? What about me?" The cook laughed and patted Asuka on the head. "Of course you get it for free too, Asuka-chan." Naruto was amused by the whole situation and just sat down next to Mito on her right. It was delightful to see Mito and Asuka being on such good terms with Ichiya. It reminded Naruto of his time with Ichiraku and Iame. Ichiya finally saw Naruto, and noticed that he was with Mito and Asuka. "And who is this handsome young man?" asked the middle-aged man as he looked at Naruto. "Are you either Mito-chan or Asuka-chan's boyfriend?" Mito spluttered as Asuka giggled while Naruto just calmly shook his head negative. "I am not that lucky, Ichiya-san," said the blonde man, making Mito blush a little. "I am new in the village and these girls told me you have great ramen, so I decided to tag along." Ichiya nodded with a smile before Asuka crept up against the table. "This is Uzumaki Naruto, he is the one who saved Mito on her mission," said the girl while grinning. Mito nodded and Ichiya turned to Naruto with a big smile. "Oh!" yelled the man suddenly. "You saved Mito-chan." Naruto nodded discreetly. "Hi." Ichiya let out a hearty laugh. "Well, it seems that I won't be charging a single person tonight," exclaimed the man as Mito and Asuka giggled. "Friends get occasional complimentary dinners from me, and anyone who saved Mito-chan is a friend of mine." Naruto chuckled and nodded. "Thank you very much, Ichiya-san." After enjoying a delicious meal of ramen with Mito and Asuka, Naruto returned to his new home and relaxed in his bed. The ramen Ichiya made was delightful. It was almost as good as Ikiraku's, but in the end nothing will ever be as good as Ichiraku in Naruto's mind. The Uzumaki man had spent a few minutes hanging up the paintings that he bought, and placing some delicate decorations around the house. And 1 hour before midnight, Naruto made it to bed, and enjoyed a night of carefree sleep. The mornings of the village was filled with hummingbirds singing a peaceful song for the early risers, and that included Naruto. It was perhaps out of wartime habit, But Naruto was glad that he woke up in time to listen to a symphony of chirps from his friendly neighbors out on his porch. Being close to nature had become a habit to Naruto in recent years, and he had developed a habit of sleeping atop of trees instead of a tent when traveling through a forest. He just found it more serene. "This is good coffee," mumbled Naruto quietly to himself as he enjoyed a cup of steaming goodness in his living room. Already, Naruto could sense many people passing by the street just beyond his front door, going on early missions for the clan. During dinner the previous night, Naruto had learned from Mito and Inuzuka that the shinobi corps of the village was entirely made out of Uzumaki members. There was not one shinobi that was not an Uzumaki in the force, and that surprised Naruto. Seeing how loose the suspicion was with the higher-ups of the village, Naruto expected the village to allow refugees of other clans to join, but apparently the village was quite strict when it came to non-Uzumaki members. Naruto just shook his head at how bad his village was handling its power. While being kind and helpful to Uzumaki members were good, it allows a rift to exist in the security of the village. If one could find a defected Uzumaki, they could very well send him back to the village as a spy, and the village would easily let him in. Then being very strict of foreign shinobi would limit the power the clan had within. If the Uzumaki were willing to accept some defected shinobi from other clans, it would promote diversity in the force and create innovation. Being such of isolationist was not exactly ideal to the island-bound clan. A sudden knock on his front door pulled Naruto out of his train of thought. "Who is it?" asked Naruto as he opened the door. On his front door step was surprisingly Uzumaki Mito. "Hey Naruto, good morning." Naruto smiled at the sight of the beautiful Mito and nodded. "Good morning to you too, Mito," said the man as he opened his door fully. "Please come in." Mito nodded and walked inside the home with a bow. "Sorry for bothering you so early in the morning, Naruto." The blonde man waved her off with a smile. "No problem at all. I am an early riser, and I love your company." The Uzumaki heiress smiled and clapped her hands together. "I am actually here today to summon you to Tachan's office," chirped the girl excitedly. "It seems that Tachan had decided to test your strength today so he could officially offer you a rank." Naruto smiled at the prospect of fighting some of his fellow Uzumakis and nodded. "That's great, I've been meaning for a nice fight," announced Naruto with a smirk. "Let's go." Mito remained motionless and stopped Naruto with a hand. "Wait, shouldn't you change first?" asked the girl as she eyes Naruto's sleeping attire, just a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. Naruto smirked and made a hand sign. "Kai," chanted the man as his body was suddenly covered by a puff of smoke, and when it cleared he revealed Naruto changed into a battle uniform. Naruto's outfit consisted of a whole body, black combat suit, knee-length combat boots, a pair of arm braces, fingerless gloves, and a black combat vest that protected his torso. This was Naruto's usual fighting uniform in the war, and it had done him well in recent years, so Naruto decided to bring it back with him. Mito was surprised and had a look of bewilderment on her face. "Sugoi," chirped the girl as she jumped up with a smile. "Can you teach me how to do that?" Naruto chuckled and patted Mito's head like she was a child. "Sure thing, Mito." Like the day before, Naruto headed towards the large structure that contained the office of the leader of the village. The place was rather close to Naruto's home. It was just a 5-minute walk away. There was a clean straight road that led directly to the building, and scenery in between were things that Naruto will learn to cherish. It was still early in the morning and people were just starting to set up their shops and stands, and the sight made Naruto feel like he was back in Konoha again. Making it to the main office 5 minutes later, Naruto followed behind Mito into the ever-winding hallways to the place once again. The blonde Uzumaki was excited to test his power against another Uzumaki. He wanted to see if their Fuinjutsu was really as powerful as he had heard. Knocking a few times on the marble double door, Mito walked in with Naruto close behind. "Good morning to Chan, I brought Naruto," announced Mito as she stood beside her mother just like the day before. John Ryusai and Ritsu both smiled a little at the young man. "How was your first night here at home, Naruto-kun?" asked the aged man kindly. Naruto smiled and bowed a little. "It was great, I am already loving this village." Ritsu had a smile of her own and gave a slight nod. "That is good, we're glad." John Ryusai cleared his throat to signal that the casual conversation was over. So, I assume Mito-chan had already told you the purpose of your coming here today? Naruto nodded. Hi. John Ryusai smirked and stood up. Good, said the man as he walked toward the door. Follow me, Naruto-kun. The blonde Uzumaki was rather confused but listened to his leader's words either way. As they walked back out the main office and its building, Naruto looked back and gave Mito a silent question, to which she just shrugged with a playful smile on her face. The walk continued on for another few minutes until the group of Uzumakis reached the edge of the village. Staring out, Naruto saw a vast field that looked to be a training ground with all its targets and equipment in place. As Naruto followed his leader into the large area, he was surprised to see that some people had already gathered at the edge of the field. He saw Inuzuka and the small boy that hugged Mito at the entrance the day before. If he had to guess, Naruto could say that there were almost 50 people waiting for them, and from what he could sense, most of them were shinobi. These people are here to watch you, Naruto-kun, said John Ryusai without looking back at the young man. They all want to see how powerful is the man who saved the heiress. Naruto nodded and inwardly sighed. He really didn't want to extra attention so early. He still didn't have enough understanding of his power to demonstrate it in front of people yet. In order to gain power and respect within the clan, Naruto first had to prove himself as a skilled shinobi, so he must not fail to impress in front of such a large crowd. John Ryusai walked Naruto straight to the center of the battlefield as Mito and Ritsu stopped and joined the rest of the observants. This test is to measure your skill, and what rank I should bestow you afterwards, explained the leader with a serious look on his face. Please do the best you can, and if things go out of control, I will stop the battle. The leader of the clan made his way back to the crowd as he spoke. Given your suggested prowess as a shinobi, I have increased the level of difficulty. Good luck, Naruto-kun. Naruto stood motionlessly in the midst of the training field, and he could already sense 5 signatures around him. Silently, Naruto focused his chakra and readied himself to unseal his Hiraishin kunai or his katana when needed. Suddenly, 5 shadows emerged from the trees and landed on all sides of Naruto, creating a perfect pentacle around him. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he saw the masks on the men's faces. He knew then that he was up against one of the enemy teams of the Uzumaki clan. The blonde man smirked inwardly. His leader really thought well of his skills, given that he ordered a match between him and 5 other people who were on the same team. Mito on the sidelines with Inuzuka and Ren gasped. What is this? Muttered the girl as she looked at her friend. I thought it was the regular one-on-one. Mito's question, though, was left unanswered as everyone was focused on the fight. Naruto remained motionless, and there was not a shred of fear in his eyes. His expression showed the face of a warrior, a man that was unfazed with the challenge presented to him. The blonde Uzumaki smirked and finally got down into a combat position. Come on. At once all 5 members of the Anbu team moved in swift coordination as they all unsheathed their blades and charged at Naruto. Each member attacked at a 75-degree angle to the right, effectively sealing off all openings of their team attack. The reflection of the blades flashed on the face of Naruto, and a split second before the attack could hit him, he quickly jumped up into the air. It seems that the Anbu team was used to such dodging techniques and instantly reacted to Naruto's newfound height. Suton Suireiden no Jutsu, cried one member as another member unsealed some water from a scroll. The water formed into the shape of a dragon, and it charged straight at Naruto the instant it gained momentum. Naruto formed a quick hand sign. Futon, Keiskiri no Jutsu, muttered the blonde man as he slashed his hand down and sent an invisible blade of wind straight through the water dragon. The blade of wind continued its path downwards and sliced into the ground as the 2 Anbu members jumped back. The 3 other members of the team jumped up and hovered just above Naruto with their swords ready. Again, cried Naruto as he twisted his body in midair and slashed another blade of wind at his opponents. The Anbu members were not ready for that and tried as best as they could to lean backwards. The blade missed them by a tiny margin, but their blades were sliced clean in half. Naruto landed back on the ground and focused his attention to the 2 Anbu members in front of him. The blonde man unsealed his katana from his wrist and channeled his wind chakra through the blade. A familiar vibration coursed through his arm as he held his blade to his side and ran towards his opponents at high speed. Before the two AMI members could react, Naruto destroyed the swords in their hands and gave each of them a nasty cut on the shoulder. Grunts of pain could be heard from the two AMI members as blood spewed out of their body. "Good try," whispered Naruto as he sped between them and landed two punches on their temples at lightning speed. The two men were instantly knocked out and fell to the ground unconscious. Naruto sensed the other three very close behind him and spun backwards quickly. Naruto's blade sliced through their kunes and forced them back a few steps. "Futon Atsuga!" cried Naruto as a dome of condensed wind surrounded his body before it blasted forward at crushing velocity. The ground tore apart from the heavy wind, and one of the three AMI members was blasted into the distance, while the other two managed to pull off a Kawarimi no Jutsu. Off to the sidelines, people were watching in shock as Naruto effortlessly dismantled the AMI team like they were a genin team. Jonryasai himself was shocked to see that even with the increased difficulty, Naruto still fight as if he was not trying at all. Jonryasai himself was rather proud of his AMI teams as they were powerful and always got the job done, but today was not the case. Ritsu was equally shocked. She assumed that Naruto would be very powerful and would be able to pass the test, but she expects some difficulty. Not she utter ease. Mito had a smirk on her face as she saw the shocked faces of the people around her. She had personally seen Naruto's prowess as a ninja, and the battle with the AMI team did not push Naruto to use the jutsu he used against the Uchiha. Mito didn't even know why she was worried for Naruto before. She knew better than anyone present that Naruto would be able to battle the AMI team with relative ease. The two remaining members appeared behind Naruto and flared their chakra. Katan Ryuden no Jutsu. Futon de Tapa. The mixture of the two elemental attacks created a large inferno that reached the height of 50 feet into the air, and it barreled towards Naruto at blinding speeds. The wind made the fire much faster and hotter. The jutsu was scorching the ground beneath it as it traveled towards its intended target. Naruto smirked and unsealed a scroll of his own. "Time to show my Fuinjutsu," thought Naruto silently as he unsealed a pen from the scroll. The crowd of Uzumakis watched in amazement as Naruto started to write with his pen in the air. Very quickly, in an instant, there was a fire seal hovering in the air in between Naruto and the burning inferno. As the fire made contact with the seal, Naruto placed his palm directly at the center of his seal and the fire chakra within Jutsu started to break down as it was absorbed into the seal. Every seal needed a container of some sort, and in this case, by placing his palm at the center of his custom seal, Naruto would absorb the chakra of the two AMI members and use it as his own. Naruto had made this sort of Fuinjutsu after he faced off against Haruko, a man who recreated the Miton Kekkei Genkai, which he used to absorb, manipulate, and release chakra taken from an opponent. Naruto found the idea great, adaptable to Fuinjutsu, and he recreated a subversion of the ability using his sealing ink and wind chakra to make the seal hover in front of his palm. The two AMI members were shocked to see their jutsu disappear and couldn't react fast enough. Naruto smirked as he appeared in front of the two AMI members. "Here is your chakra back," muttered the man as he pushed his hands forward, and a blast of flames and wind struck the two members at point blank. The blast instantly knocked out and probably badly injured the two AMI members. The two AMI members were sent flying backwards a good distance before they fell to the ground in a beaten heap. All were quiet as Naruto turned back to a speechless crowd. "Well," started the blonde Uzumaki. "Does this mean I am a jounin?" Chapter 5 True Peace. The village was still buzzing from excitement because of the extraordinary abilities the newcomer had shown. It was ingenious to think that one could recreate the effects of Miton using Fuinjutsu, and even more ingenious to succeed in doing so. Never had anyone in the infamous clan of Fuinjutsu had though of using Fuinjutsu such a way, and Naruto's innovation had provided proof to many people in the village that Fuinjutsu was not limited to scrolls and writing. Uzumaki Mito had a smile on her face as she saw the astonished look on her father's face. Mito knew that her father had always wanted a powerful lone shinobi to be born into the Uzumaki clan, so that they would no longer have to depend on the Senju clan if they were targeted by singular powerful shinobis. Mito herself, while a talented kunoichi in her own right, was not as gifted as the powerhouses that were her childhood friends. Senju Tobirama and Senju Hashirama were two of the most powerful people Mito knew. Since they were children, the Senju clan had been in war, and the Uzumakis had often aided them in battle. Mito could still remember the other Senju brothers that have died in the past. She was good friends with them too. Mito noticed that Tobirama became more and more stoic and serious as he aged, and that was perfectly fine given his harsh past experiences with war. Senju Hashirama, on the other hand, hadn't really changed at all. The happy boy Mito once knew was a happy man today. The current leader of the Senju clan had always been like a kind of gentle older brother to Mito, and she will always treasure him as one of her most precious people. Mito's parents had told her about the potential marriage between herself and Hashirama. The young woman had been conflicted about her own feelings at first, but soon she figured out that the love she had for Hashirama was familial love, not romantic love. Mito was a little guilty about declining the marriage offer, since she had noticed that Hashirama had grown to love her romantically, but she wanted to marry a man she truly loved. "Mito-chan," said a sudden voice beside the heiress that knocked her out of her stupor. "Are you okay?" Mito smiled and nodded over at Inuzuka. "I'm fine. Just thinking about stuff." Inuzuka grinned and draped an arm over Mito's shoulders. "Is someone still thinking about Naruto?" teased the cowgirl as Mito blushed a little even though she wasn't thinking of Naruto. "Admit it, girl, you have a crush on him." Mito's blush flared as she pushed her friend away. "Shut up!" exclaimed the embarrassed girl. "I do not have a crush on him. I only met him a few days ago." Inuzuka continued to grin slyly. "That doesn't matter, Mito-chan," said the other red-haired girl. "You know what they say. There is really something as love at first sight." As much as Mito wanted to deny her friend's words, she had to admit that she was attracted to the powerful Uzumaki. In the brief time Mito had met Naruto, he had already saved her twice from pursuing Ukas. There was something about his presence near her that made Mito feel safe, and his blue eyes just enchanted her. But no matter what, all she felt for Naruto at the moment was attraction. She had no real feelings for him. Yet, Mito shook her head of her confusion, and focused her eyes on the road in front of her. "No matter what, I am not focusing on my love life right now," announced the heiress as she gave Inuzuka a look. "Ukea, now I am trying to help To-chan and bring the Uzumaki clan to a higher standing," said Mito while thinking. "Without having to marry into the Senju clan." Inuzuka hummed in thought as she linked her hands behind her back. "Well, we do have Naruto now, so that might help us on the power scale." Mito nodded in agreement. She was still certain that Naruto was at least in the same league as Tobirama. "Yes, Naruto will definitely be of help." Inuzuka tilted her hat in wonder. "Where is Naruto, by the way? I thought he was joining us for lunch." The heiress nodded. "He is, but he is going to meet with To-chan first." Back in Jonryasai's office, Naruto was standing with pride as his leader offered him an official Uzumaki height I-8. Naruto gladly placed the headpiece against his forehead, and despite the coldness of the metal against his skin, Naruto felt warmth spread out from within his body. Naruto once again felt the fire within him surge with motivation. He was determined to bring the Uzumaki clan to the pinnacle of the elemental nations. Jonryasai smiled at the look in Naruto's eyes and patted his shoulder. "I like your determination, Naruto-kun," said the aged leader. "Your will and power shall bring the Uzumaki clan to further greatness." Naruto bowed deeply for his leader. "I will do my very best, Jonryasai-sama." The Uzumaki leader smiled as he walked back behind his desk and sat down. The young man in front of him could very well be the person he would need to bring the Uzumaki clan into the league of the Uchiha and Senju. At the same age as Hashirama, Naruto showed tremendous power and skill. Jonryasai wasn't sure if Naruto was as powerful as the Senju brothers, but he knew that it was enough to bring back their former fame. "As you know, Naruto-kun," began Jonryasai as he gestured Naruto to take a seat. "The Uzumaki clan had been falling into the backwater of the shinobi world in recent years, and that is a dire problem for us." Naruto nodded seriously, sensing the atmosphere of the incoming conversation. The Uchiha and Senju clans were blessed with tremendous talent in recent years, and they have surpassed in his power because of that. But now that we have acquired a wayward son like yourself, I hope you join them in the higher ranks. Naruto smiled, happy that his leader thought so much of him. "You flatter me, Jonryasai-sama." The old man chuckled and shook his head. I believe in giving credit when credit is due. John Ryusai poured himself and Naruto some tea. No ordinary shinobi can take down a full Anbu team of mine without so much as breaking a sweat. Naruto smiled at the implications. You are one powerful young man, Naruto-kun, and you may very well be a beacon of hope for our clan. Naruto graciously accepted his cup of tea with a slight bow before responding. The Uzumaki clan is my home and family. I will give it my all to see the day when we are even more powerful than the Senju and Uchiha. John Ryusai smiled and sipped on his tea. I am happy to see such fire in you, Naruto-kun. Sensing that his leader was in a good mood, Naruto decided to test the waters a little. John Ryusai-sama? Started the blonde man as he gained the attention of his leader. Might I offer a personal opinion of mine of the clan as of now? Interested? John Ryusai nodded with a smile on his face. Of course. Naruto inwardly sighed before he began. I found that the Senju and Uchiha clans are not only powerful because of their exceptionally strong leaders, but also because of their vast number of clansmen. Deduced the blonde man as John Ryusai nodded in agreement. While in the long term, our clan can promote the idea of having more children to the couple in the village so we could have that advantage too, but that would be time-consuming and impractical. John Ryusai finished his cup of tea and looked at Naruto. And what might you suggest as an alternative? Naruto smiled. Please bear with me, John Ryusai-sama, as this may sound unorthodox, muttered the young man almost sheepishly. But I was thinking that we should acquire ourselves some allies from outside of the clan. The Uzumaki leader was intrigued. You mean from other clans? The blonded nodded with conviction. Hi. John Ryusai was silent for a while as Naruto waited patiently. But as you know, traditionally we Uzumakis have rather been isolationists, and he enjoy our own peace and development too much to involve ourselves with another clan. Naruto nodded in understanding. He had expected that. Yes, but certain sacrifices must be made in order to gain power, said the blonde Uzumaki. With the aid of other clans our power will increase exponentially, and our name will naturally be more well known throughout the lands. The leader smirked and crossed his arms. Say that I agree with you. Who would you suggest as an ally for us as of now? The ex-Konoha ninja was sure glad that he studied up on history before traveling back in time. From what I know, the Inuzuka clan is in a rather nasty turn of fate right now. Naruto was referring to the war the Inuzukas shared with the Shurama clan. Naruto had read the full story of the war inside one of the archives that remained untouched after the raids on Konoha. The Shuramas were hired by the daimyo of Tsume no Kuni to eliminate the Inuzuka entirely, and the Inuzukas were in dire need of help from annihilation. The Inuzukas are just a tad weaker than the Shurama clan, and if we offer to help them now, victory is almost assured. John Ryusai seemed to be thinking over the situation. While that may seem ideal in the long term, do you think we have enough resources to start a war like this? Naruto nodded instantly without a shred of doubt, now sure that his leader was just testing him. Definitely, we have our own sources of food and weapons from right here inside the village, and it can produce enough to last a war of at least a year. 20 years of being the supreme commander of the allied forces had done Naruto well as a leader. Based on the strength of the Shurama clan, we would only need 3 months at most to defeat them. The leader leaned further into the table. Another question. Why are you suggesting we attack the Shurama clan instead of the Inuzuka? Asked John Ryusai soundly. Even if we win against the Shurama clan, we would have made an enemy of the Tsume no Kuni daimyo. But if we aid the Shurama clan instead, we would have gained an ally in them as well as the goodwill of a nation. The blonde Uzumaki shook his head. No, the Shurama clan have been known as rather snitchy and dark people who would do anything to reach their goal, which does not fit well with our own code. Reasoned Naruto to his leader. And the Shurama are also relatively close to the Uchiha clan, and being close to them would put us in an awkward place with our closest friend, the Senju clan. John Ryusai nodded at all of Naruto's points. But the Inuzuka clan on the other hand is known as one of the most loyal and honorable clan in the elemental nations. Sure, they are not as powerful as many other clans, but personally I value loyalty above everything, and I would very much like to have them as an ally. John Ryusai was silent for a few seconds before a smile emerged on his lips. Okay then. Let's do it. Naruto was shocked. and couldn't find his voice for a second. What? The Uzumaki leader chuckled and rested his arms on his desk. The idea of forming alliances had always been in my mind, but I have never found a capable man to lead the war for me. Revealed John Ryusai as Naruto assumed what was coming. You may be a very new member of the clan, Naruto-kun, but you are powerful, and I have faith that you will be able to win us this war, said the leader as Naruto nodded back. But nonetheless you are still new, and many people will not obey your command if you are to lead this war. John Ryusai smirked. That is why I will assign Mito as the commander for this mission, and you will be her second in command. Will that be alright with you? While Naruto hadn't expected such a result, he was happy about it. That sounds great, John Ryusai-sama. This will also provide Mito-sama with the needed experience as the future leader of our clan. John Ryusai nodded with a smile. Okay then, I will inform Mito of this mission as soon as possible, and while I do that, you have 3 days to prepare for this battle. Naruto stood up and bowed. Hi, John Ryusai-sama. Just as the meeting was about to adjourn, the double marble doors opened, making the two men look over to the entrance. Naruto was surprised to see the same boy he saw the day before at the gate with Mito. Like most Uzumakis, the boy had red hair that reached the top of his neck, and he had the same gray eyes as Mito. Naruto remembered the boy addressed Mito as his aunt the day before, so it was safe to assume that the boy was a grandchild of Uzumaki John Ryusai. Jiji, am I interrupting? Asked the boy rather timidly. John Ryusai smiled right at the sight of the little boy and stood up. No, we are finished, said the man without looking at Naruto. Come in, Ren-chan. Ren smiled and ran to his grandfather and jumped into his arms. If you are finished, can you teach me some jutsu, Jiji? Asked the boy with his big round eyes. Mito Obaken isn't teaching me anything. Naruto stood at the edge of the room with a smile on his face. He remembered that he thought Ren resembled Konohamaru a little, and seeing him with his grandfather just made it more clear. Naruto smiled at the thought of Konoha pestering the Sandaime to teach him ninjutsu. The young Sarutobi had become very powerful, and was one of the last of Konoha's forces to perish. The loss of his little brother still haunted Naruto's thoughts, and his only solace was the hope that he would be able to stop Madara once and for all. Ren looked over at Naruto shyly, and waved his small hand. Hello, muttered the boy softly. Naruto smiled and walked closer to his leader and the boy. Hello there, Ren-kun, I'm Naruto. Ren smiled and nodded quickly. I know, I remember that you are the one who saved Mito Obaken. John Ryusai smiled at his grandson's innocent behavior. The blonde Uzumaki chuckled and patted the boy on the head. I am. The red-haired boy leaned closer to Naruto while still in his grandfather's arms. Can you teach me a jutsu as well? John Ryusai, as was Naruto, were intrigued by the boy. Why do you want me to teach you? Ren smiled and held his fists together. Because I want to be strong enough to save Mito Obaken when I am older. Naruto was surprised by the boy's words, and John Ryusai just smiled proudly. It is okay if I teach him something, John Ryusai-sama? Asked the blonde man, surprising his leader. You really want to teach him something? You are not obligated to, muttered the Uzumaki leader. Naruto smiled at Ren's happy expression as he placed his hands on his hips. The want to protect people precious to oneself is something I respect, and I want to help Ren-kun grow stronger so he could do just that. Ren turned back to his grandfather and clapped his hands together. Please, Jiji. John Ryusai sighed and nodded. Fine, muttered the old man as he settled the boy on the ground. Make sure you pay attention, Ren-chan. Naruto-kun is a powerful young man, and you will learn a lot from him. Ren jumped up with a smile. Hi, cried the boy before he grabbed Naruto's hand and tried to pull him out of the room. Let's go, Naruto-nichan. Naruto smiled at the affectionate suffix and sighed. Hold your horses, muttered the man as he followed the boy along. The Uzumaki compound was the whole of one village, and it was not very big. The actual village covered about half of the island's space, and the other half were mainly forests and a few training fields. Naruto and Ren were at one of those training fields, and the boy was very excited to learn from the strong man who saved his precious aunt. Ren had also witnessed Naruto fight the Anbu team, but he didn't really see anything as Naruto was moving too fast for a child like Ren to follow. After seeing Naruto's skills, the boy practically looked up to Naruto, and would want nothing more than to become strong like him. "Are you ready, Ren-kun?" asked Naruto with his arms crossed. Standing across from the boy, Naruto couldn't help but think back to the time he spent training with Konohamaru. Both the master and the apprentice were rather idiotic back then, and Naruto knew now that teaching Ren his sexy jutsu would be a very bad idea. Inwardly chuckling at the face his sexy jutsu had made out of the Sandaime and Drea, Naruto outwardly had a straight face on him that slightly intimidated the boy in front of him. Ren was standing as straight as a board as he nodded. "Hi." Naruto smiled and nodded. "Good. Come at me." The wind blew between the two in tension as Ren had a confused expression on his face. "What?" The blonde man suddenly disappeared from sight and appeared behind Ren in under a second. "I said come at me," exclaimed Naruto as he pushed the boy to the ground. Ren groaned as he hit the ground, but quickly stood back up. "Fine, you asked for it," cried the boy as he charged at Naruto with openings everywhere. The red-haired boy took 3 seconds to reach Naruto and launch a sloopy punch at Naruto's torso. Naruto just stood still and let the boy hit him. "A baby has more power than you, hit harder," ordered the older Uzumaki as he pushed the boy down again. Ren growled in anger and rushed back at Naruto. Haga!" cried out the boy as he jumped and kicked Naruto in the chest. It was still miserably weak, but Naruto smiled at the fact that Ren realized that kicking was much more powerful than punching and changed his strategy. It was a good sign for the boy. "Still no good, try again." Ren pushed himself up again and relentlessly charged at Naruto with reckless abandon. While Naruto continued to accept the boy's attacks, he was silently monitoring his stamina, chakra control, and chakra reserves. As an Uzumaki, Ren had larger chakra reserve than normal people, and his stamina was that of a proper Uzumaki. But his problem was his chakra control. It was perhaps a very common problem among Uzumakis, because their chakra reserves were larger, they would have more difficulty regarding chakra control. Naruto inwardly grimaced at the thought of the effort he put in to complete master his own chakra. It took him almost 2 years to accomplish. Having to adapt to the chakra of the Kyuubi and part of the Jubi was no easy feat, but the rewards were astounding. The blonde man's eyes widened slightly at the reminder. His chakra control should be much better than before. He no longer held the mass volumes of chakra because of the Kyuubi and Jubi. He now only possesses his own natural chakra. A smile found its way to Naruto's face. With his chakra control now, he could most likely be able to recreate Tsunade's superhuman strength. Such power would aid Naruto much in these difficult times. Naruto planned to reunite all the clans in Konoha under Uzumaki's name, and that would require quite a bit of strength. "RH!" cried Ren as he punched Naruto across the face. Naruto was broken out of stupor from the harder-than-usual punch from the boy, and looked down at him. "Okay, that's enough, Ren-kun." Ren was panting a little as he rested his hands on his knees, trying to catch his breath. The boy couldn't believe how strong Naruto was. He was punching and kicking as hard as he could for a few minutes straight, and the man took all of the like they were nothing. Ren couldn't even see a mark or a red spot of his face after his hardest punch. Naruto smiled and crossed his arms across his chest. "Not bad, Ren-kun." The boy looked up at Naruto confused. "And not bad." The blonde man patted the boy's head and nodded with a smile. "Yes. I was merely measuring your chakra reserves and stamina, and I have to say that you are pretty good considering how young you are." The boy smiled at his words and nodded. "But your chakra control is rather sloppy and it is holding back your usual skills." Ren looked down a little and nodded timidly. "Yeah, Bat-chan had been telling me the same thing, but I am getting tired of the chakra exercises." Naruto chuckled and nodded. "I know what you mean, I hate those tedious tasks myself," muttered the man as Ren chuckled back. "How about I teach you a little trick, so you can speed it up a little?" Ren looked amazed and nodded. "Sure, is there something like that?" The blonde man smiled and nodded. "Yes, there is. Give me your hand." The boy held out his palm in front of Naruto. "This is a seal that I made a few years back," muttered Naruto as he slapped a piece of paper on the boy's hand. What does it do? Just as Ren asked that question, he felt a lot of his own chakra being sucked into the seal, and a moment later, a puff of smoke appeared around him. Ren looked on his shock as a clone of himself stood right beside him. He reached out for it, and touched its arm. It's a solid clone. Sakura. Naruto chuckled at the boy's amazement. This seal basically creates a kage bunshin for you without you having to cast the jutsu yourself. Explained the man as his hands on his hips. I would teach you the kage bunshin later, but you are not ready for it now, so you will use this seal. Ren looked up at Naruto again with his smile still on his face. But how will this help me with my chakra exercises? Naruto smiled and crossed his arms. The greatest benefit of a kage bunshin is that whatever the clone experiences would be transferred over to the original after it is dispelled. Explained the man as the boy started to nod slowly. So, training with one kage bunshin basically is cutting the training in half, as whatever progress he makes you get them. Ren jumped up in joy and excitement. Wow, this is amazing! Cried the boy as Naruto chuckled and absent-mindedly thought that the boy was smarter than he was when he first learned of the secret from Kakashi and Yamato. It took him quite some time and a demonstration to understand. So how many clones can I make with this seal? Only one, replied Naruto smoothly. With your chakra right now, one clone is the best number for you, anymore you wouldn't be able to sustain them long enough to get any actual training done. Ren had a perpetual smile on his face. Okay. One is still much better than nothing. The boy ran and wrapped his arms around Naruto's waist, taking the man in surprise. Thank you, Naruto-ni. Naruto had a blank look on his face for a brief second before he ruffled the boy's hair and patted him on the back. You're welcome, little man, just remember that when you get stronger you have to protect your Mito Obaken as best as you can. Ren looked up at Naruto and nodded. Hi. Wow, you two sure are getting along, said a sudden voice from behind the two boys. Naruto and Ren looked over and saw a smiling Mito looking at them. The young woman had her hands on her hips and seemed to be quite amused at the scene. Suddenly, Naruto remembered that he was supposed to meet Mito and Inuzuka at Ichi's Ramen right after his meeting. He must have completely missed it. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Sorry, Mito. I forgot about lunch. Ren giggled and ran to her aunt. Naruto-ni was teaching me. Mito smiled and lifted Ren up into her arms. Really, is he a better teacher than me? Asked the girl as she kissed Ren on the cheek. Ren looked sheepish and nodded slowly. Well, Naruto-ni's teaching is not as boring. Naruto chuckled as Mito just smiled softly. At least you are not a liar, Ren-chan, said the girl with a sigh before she looked over at the blonde Uzumaki. You know, Asuka is a little pissed off at you for not showing up. Naruto smiled and nodded. I'll apologize to her as soon as possible, said the man as he walked up to his leader's daughter. And I'll say it to you now, sorry Mito. Mito waved him off and held Ren higher in her arms. It's alright, at least you were doing something good for Ren-chan. The blonde chuckled and ruffled Ren's hair. Ren-kun is quite the smart boy, he understood what I taught him quite easily. Ren beamed at Naruto's praise. Ren suddenly popped up and jumped out of Mito's arms. I forgot that Bat-chan wanted to see me, cried the boy a little scared. By Mito back in Naruto-ni, I'll see you later. The boy immediately ran out of the training field and toward his home. His Bat-chan would be angry if he was late. She is very scary when she is angry. Naruto chuckled along with Mito as they both watched the boy scramble to his grandmother. Ren-kun is a good kid, but he seems scared of Ritsu-sama though. Mito giggled and nodded. Oh yeah. She may not look like it, but Kaya-chan is more feared among the clan than anybody else. Naruto inwardly mused that Tsunade must have received her intimidating powers from Ritsu. So Ren-kun is your nephew Mito? The heiress nodded with a sigh. Yes. His father, who is my brother, died a few years ago when Ren-chan was only 7 years old, muttered the woman with a soft voice, clearly still sad about her loss of her brother. My other brother died a year after. And Ren-chan had been quite sad ever since. The blonde placed a hand on Mito's shoulder for comfort. The loss of family is never easy. I understand how you feel, said the man as Mito looked back a little at him. I lost both my parents to the Uchiha clan and my godparents to other enemies. Mito sighed and looked down to the ground. It seems that in these times, everyone will have a sad and unfortunate past. Naruto felt very nostalgic at her words. These days, parents are burying their children, villages are razed to the ground. Innocent lives are being sacrificed into a never-ending cycle of hatred and war. Naruto had an involuntarily flashback of Nagato moment before he death. Not for long, muttered Naruto. Mito was confused and tilted her head back. What? Naruto looked into Mito's eyes with conviction. I believe more than anything that true peace is attainable, and one day I will achieve it, announced Naruto with hope surging in his chest. One day, people will be able to understand one another, and people will be able to make compromises. Mito dragged onto Naruto's every word. Clans will be able to work together as one united force. Shinobi will no longer be known as makers of chaos and havoc, but protectors of peace. You really think it's all possible? Asked Mito softly. Naruto smiled down at the girl and nodded with no doubt in his eyes. I know it is possible. There is a way, and I will find it, said the man proudly. I will break the curse of hatred that condemns us all. There is such a thing as peace, and I will find it. I will not give up. Mito softly laughed and nodded. Sure. I will help you find it, muttered the woman full of emotion. For some reason I really believe you, Naruto. The blonde looked down at her with a little surprise and obvious happiness. I will follow you to find this peace. For us, and for all the Uzumakis in our clan. Naruto nodded with a smile. You got something wrong, Mito. I am supposed to be the one to follow you. Mito chuckled and sighed. I have a feeling that you will be a great leader, Naruto, and you may very well lead us to victory, said the woman with a smile on her face. Until the time when you gain the trust and hopes of our entire clan, I will be the leader. But as soon as that time is past, the torch is yours, said Mito confidently. I am confident about being a kunoichi, but I am not fit to be a leader. That much I know about myself. The blonde thought back to the history books he had read that begged to differ. Don't think that about yourself, Mito, said Naruto as he smiled at the young heiress. I will be your soldier for as long as you want me to be. And I will help you bring our clan to greatness and the world to peace. Mito sighed and nodded before she looked up at Naruto again. You really have a way with words. Naruto chuckled and remained silent as he looked up at the sky. The winds of change is blowing. Soon we will bring greatness to the Uzumaki clan, and I will achieve true peace or die trying. Chapter 6, Start of the First War. The war between the Inuzuka clan and the Shimura clan was well known in the Konoha history archive, but it was known as the War of the Bloody Fangs. The peculiar name came from the ferocity the Inuzuka clan showed and the bloody violence that was inflicted upon them by their enemies. During the war, an Inuzuka would either be a defeated bloody heap, or primal survivor with the enemy's blood soaking his body. The war had ended after 8 months of battles that resembled hell on earth. It took the deaths of over 1,000 shinobi before a resolution was signed. In the end, the Inuzuka agreed to leave their native nation peacefully, and the country would compensate them for their loss over the war. From what Naruto remembered in the history textbook, the money given to the Inuzuka were barely enough to sustain their significantly lowered numbers for a few months, but the feral clan had no choice but to take the money because if the war continued they would be destroyed. Naruto had personally worked and fought with powerful members of both clans back in his own time, so he knew their strengths and weaknesses very well, and he can conclude that the Inuzuka clan was not inferior to the Shimura clan. The main reason the Shimura clan won the war was because they had Tsume no Kuni backing them up constantly with financial and physical resources. So we are going to help the Inuzuka clan in this war? Asked a serious Mito as she leaned down closer to the geographic map of Tsume no Kuni. Naruto nodded as he mapped out the distances of various points within the country. Yes, they are our ideal first ally, so we have to save them before they sustain too much losses. Mito nodded in acknowledgement, and continued to analyze the landscapes of Tsume no Kuni. They've been in the war for about 3 months now, and they seem to be slowly losing ground, said the heiress as she stood back and read out of the file containing intel on the war. The casualties on both sides are rather even, but the Inuzukas just don't have enough resources. The blonde man nodded. Exactly, and that is where we come in, said Naruto with a smile as he turned back to a desk and retrieved a file on the Uzumaki's current supplies. For the last 2 years, we have been producing sustainable farms and started to preserve most of their products for storage. Naruto imputed all the numbers into calculator and smiled when he saw the final number. Based on what we have now, we can sustain a war for a whole year, and with our farms and manufacturers we can refill our stocks in 6 months, which is very good already. Naruto and Mito had been researching and planning through their incoming mission for the last week, and things have been going quite well. Jonryasai had officially tasked Mito with being the commander of the Uzumaki forces and Naruto as his second in command. Official training routines had been ordered down to all Uzumaki shinobis, giving all of them a month to prepare for the war. The entire clan and all its subdivision were all working in conjunction with each other to prepare in the month mark, and it was going off like clockwork. Naruto had made use of a large office inside the main commander building of the village and filled it almost to the brim with information of all sorts from geographic readings to weather patterns in the area. Though the room was quite large, only Naruto and Mito worked inside it. There were other lieutenants in the village, but they were mainly focusing on training the troops and left strategy and logistics to the commander and Naruto. We are going to be moving into the country with about 500 people at first, muttered Mito as she kept punching in numbers into the calculator. Based on the speed we'll be traveling at and the distance between us and Tsume no Kuni, it will take us about 5 days to get there. Naruto sighed. That is not fast enough, we should force a faster speed floor. Mito nodded. We can do that, but our troops might use up too much energy before the battle. The blonde man shook his head. We don't have a choice. 5 days to slow traveling with such a last group will just show the Shimura clan that we are coming. We need to force it up to 2 days in order to utilize the element of surprise. 2 days? Exclaimed Mito incredulously. Is that even possible? Naruto smirked and nodded. It is, said the man as he looked over at Mito. You are thinking about all of us moving by land, but that is too slow. Naruto led Mito's finger over to a spot of the map. This is the largest river in Tsume no Kuni, and the current is going to quite rapid because of the recent rain in the area. Mito smiled and had an enlightened look on her face. You plan to travel by the river? Naruto chuckled and nodded. Yes, I checked that we have several large ships ready to go, and they should run quite well down the wide river, said the lieutenant as he smiled at his leader. This way not only will we make the 2-day mark because of the rapid water, our troops will also have full strength when he go into battle having been rested on the ships. Mito was hyped up and nodded. Okay, so now we can resources and transportation ready, we should decide what to do during the actual battle. The blonde nodded and sat down on his chair. Of course, what do you suggest, Mito? The heiress smiled and cleared her throat. I've been thinking last night, started Mito a little nervously. Seeing that most people in the Shimura clan are wind users, we can line up our fire users in the front line to lock them in place, while our other forces attack at a higher ground. Naruto smiled and nodded, making Mito to let out a breath she didn't know she held. The main battlefield right now is in the middle of a large terrain filled with mainly grassels, and we can use that to our advantage. Naruto leaned forward to rest his elbows on his knees. You mean we will light the field on fire in order to strengthen our fire users? Mito nodded. Yes, that way they will be able to attack longer without using as much chakra forming their own fire. The blonde smiled kindly and shook his head. Mito, fire users are only effective against wind users when the control where their flames are, since they can use their control of the air pressure to deter the original direction of the wind, explained Naruto as he looked directly into Mito's eyes. But when the flames are accessible to everyone, the wind user can use their wind to force the fire back to our direction. The heiress recoiled and nodded sheepishly. Right. Naruto smiled softly and sighed. Don't worry about it too much, Mito, soothed the man as he placed a hand on Mito's shoulder. This is your first large-scale battle. You will become more adept in these situations with experience. Mito nodded and smiled up at her friend. Isn't this your first war too? Have you been fighting like these before? Naruto smirked. I've been in some situations before that is somewhat like a war, but not on a scale this big, said the blonde casually. But I have experience in creating strategies, so you can rest assured that I can do this quite well. The red-haired beauty nodded. I know, she said with a smile. So what do you suggest we do for the initial attack? The lieutenant cleared his throat and looked down at the map. I agree with you that the majority of Shimuras are wind users, and that is their advantage and disadvantage. Started Naruto seriously. Their advantage is that they have far more wind users than we have fire users, and the wind and clear terrain will make us easy to aim for and kill. Mito nodded at her second-in-command's words. And that is not all. Wind jutsus are usually the fastest out of all the elements except for lightning, but it is also easier to control than lightning, so it is easily the best combat element there is. Mito was becoming nervous. That doesn't sound good. Naruto nodded. Normally when other clans are fighting against the Shimura clan, they would have a huge number of people in the front lines to be cannon fodder. All of them would die, but their sacrifice would create an opportunity to strike. Mito looked shocked, and quite shook her head. There is no way we will do that. It is just wrong. Naruto smiled. I am very glad you think so too, Mito. Those people are nothing but pathetic, said the man as Mito relaxed, seeing that he was not planning to use a wall of human shields. My plan is much safer and less barbaric. Do you remember my elemental absorption seal? The heiress' eyes widened as a smile emerged on her face. I see what you are planning, exclaimed the girl happily. You are going to use your miton like Fuinjutsu to absorb all the wind chakra they send at us. Naruto chuckled. That is the most of it, but because I don't have time to teach many people how to use that sort of Fuinjutsu, I am the only one who can stop the Shimura's attacks, explained the man calmly. But thankfully, I can make a fair amount of clones, and each seal can cover about 10 meters of space, so we should be fine. Mito looked a little concerned. But you are talking about your Kage Bunshin, right? Naruto nodded affirmative. So wouldn't they run out of chakra? The blonde smirked. Normally, they would last about 20 minutes if I value quantity over quality, but in this case it is perfect, said Naruto, getting a little excited. These clone will be using the absorption seals, and the chakra they seal with fuel their body because I am also a wind user. Mito gasped at the convenience of the situation. They will be like a self-sufficient engine that will bring our forces to the heart of battle. Mito smiled brightly and sat upright. Good, now we should be ready to go into battle. Naruto nodded. Yes. There is only so much we can plan and assume in war, so now everything we depend on the actual battle itself, said the man with an optimistic tone. But I have a feeling that the Shimura clan will be running with its tail between its legs. Inuzuka Shinrei was a man of honor and loyalty, and he had the utmost pride of the Inuzuka clan. For 20 years, Shinrei had been the leader of one of the greatest clans in the elemental nations, and he could proudly say that the Inuzuka clan had become greater since his promotion to leader of the clan. Shinrei could look up at the pictures of his forefathers without any shame of regret. As the leader of the clan, Shinrei had no regrets, but as a father of 5, he was worried for his children. Shinrei's 3 boys and 2 girls were his pride and joy, and he wanted nothing but the world for them. Like most others their age, the Inuzuka heirs and heiresses had to train to become ninja at an early age, and they too were forced to fight in the ridiculous war started by a young and naive daimyo. Tsume no Kuni had always been the home of the Inuzuka clan, and they worked in harmony with the late daimyo of the nation. Unfortunately, in Tsume no Kuni's case, the apple fell far from the tree. The new daimyo was nothing like his father. He was a cruel and naive leader who wanted nothing but his own absolution. The Inuzuka had their own laws and values inside the clan, and when the new daimyo requested that they all abandon their name and join him in the palace as the royal guard, Shinrei refused, and that had triggered the war. The Shimura clan was another clan that was native to Tsume no Kuni, and had been rivals of sorts to the Inuzuka. The daimyo had sought the Shimura out to destroy the Inuzuka, and the reward would be the unlimited support by Tsume no Kuni as long as he was daimyo. Obviously the Shimura had taken a liking to the new daimyo, and plotted a full-on war with the Inuzuka. Odu-sama, you should not drink anymore. exclaimed a young woman about 20 years of age. She was Inuzuka Kagura, the youngest, and a personal favorite of Shinrei. Like all others in the clan, Kagura had twin red fangs tattooed to the sides of her face, and her brown long hair trailed elegantly down her slender back. Shinrei sighed and smiled at his little girl. "I'm sorry, Kagura-chan. I never wanted this to happen," slurred out the man in a drunk haze. "All I wanted to do was to protect the clan's integrity and honor, not bring about its destruction." Kagura had tears welling in her eyes and hugged her father. "You did the right thing, Odu-sama. No one in the clan will ever condemn you for this war." Shinrei had to hold back his tears as he stared at the leather wall of his tent he was residing in, right in the middle of the Inuzuka military base. "Two of your brothers are lying severely wounded in the hospital wing. And your remaining brother and sister died." Kagura sobbed into her father's shoulder. "They won't die in vain." Shinrei gripped his fists tightly and gritted his teeth. "We are not weaker than the Shimura clan. But we are losing this war because of that damn daimyo," cried the man as he slammed his gourd of sake on the table, shattering it to pieces. "We can fight for another 6 months at most. If we stall it out any more than that, we will be completely destroyed." Kagura remained silent as she tried to think of a solution to unavail. "All we need is some more weapons and food. That way we can attack at full force and wipe the Shimura out at once." Because of the lack of food and resources on the Inuzuka front, only half of the force were being fed. The force had been split into two, and each will fight one after the other daily. The fighting side will get to eat the night before, and so on. Because of this, the strength of the Inuzuka had been significantly weakened, but this was the only way to stretch the war out long enough to hope for an eventual side resolution. Kagura sniffed and wiped her tears. "So all we need is the help of another clan." Shinrei sighed and nodded. "Yes, but that is unlikely seeing that we are fighting a losing war. The other clans are in enough tension already. If they help us they will put themselves in the spotlight," explained the Inuzuka leader. "And that will not be beneficial for them." A large brown canine sat down quietly next to Shinrei as they spoke, and the leader absent-mindedly ran his hand through his ninkin's thick fur. "But no matter what, Hiramaru and I will fight to the very end." Kagura let loose her tears and rested herself against her father like she would when she wounded when he was a little girl. Why did it have to turn out like this? "Please, if there is someone out there, please help us." Hundreds of kilometers away, another father was hugging his daughter one last time before she set out for her own mission. John Ryusai had a serious and professional expression on his face, but those close at him could tell that he was extremely nervous about his daughter going into battle for the first time. For the last week, John Ryusai had made sure that everything was logged and accounted for before Mito left. He couldn't allow anything to go wrong during this war. Not only was it the Uzumaki clan's debut, it was also Mito's official S-ranked mission, and he couldn't lose her. "You be careful out there. Be sure to check everything, never be careless," muttered John Ryusai as he held his daughter in his arms. Mito smiled and nodded. "I know, to-chan. I promise I will come back safe and sound." John Ryusai pulled away from his daughter and nodded at her with a smile. "I am proud of you, Mito-chan," said the man as he kissed his daughter's forehead. Mito nodded and headed towards her mother and Asuka. John Ryusai all the while was focusing his sight on Naruto, who was just standing a few feet away from him. John Ryusai wasn't really sure about entrusting so much to the man who had just joined their clan, but something told him that Naruto was a good man, and he only wanted to help the clan. Naruto saw that his leader was looking at him, so he started to walk over with a smile. "John Ryusai-sama." The leader nodded at the man and patted his shoulder. "Good luck out there, Naruto-kun, and please look after Mito-chan for me." The blonde nodded. "That is without question, John Ryusai-sama." At that moment, Asuka and Ren both came up to Naruto and grabbed onto him. "Naruto!" cried Asuka loudly. "You better protect Mito-chan out there, and bring you home after." Ren nodded rigorously at her words. Naruto looked down at each other then seriously. "I promise you both, I will protect Mito with my life." Mito, who was just a fair distance away from the conversation, heard Naruto's words and felt her face heat up a little. Shaking her head of unwanted thoughts, Mito walked up to the ground. It's time to go. John Ryusai nodded. Okay. Head out. Mito and Naruto both jumped on top of their respective horses and started their way to the main gate. All the Uzumaki troops were already lined up at the main gate, and they separated into two groups to form a passageway in the middle for the high commands. Each soldier was dressed in full black uniforms that Naruto thought resembled a lot like the konoha jouning uniform. The Uzumaki symbol was proudly wore on each of them, and some of them had the job of carrying a tall banner with the Uzumaki symbol proudly blazed upon it. Mito rode down the passage with a serious expression on her face, trying her best to suppress the nervousness in her heart. Naruto rode silently behind Mito, his eyes locked onto her back. The man was quite worried for Mito. It was clear that she was an innocent girl and have never seen the horrors of war. One could never describe the cries of anguish, the red rivers, the smell of burnt flesh, and the eyes of each man they slay. Naruto was praying inwardly that Mito would remain the vibrant and happy young woman she was after the war. Soon Mito and Naruto reached the front of the Uzumaki army, and the former looked back one last time at her friends and family, before she turned away and headed out the village. Are you ready, Naruto? Asked the commander. Yes, said Naruto clearly. We are all ready. The army had to travel on foot for a few hours before they arrive at the origin of the largest river in Sum no Kuni. Naruto had sealed the 5 large ships into 5 scrolls, and they were all ready to use once they arrive at the river. For the past few days Naruto had been mentally and physically preparing himself for once again walking into a war. He had fully measured his chakra capacity and his chakra control, and he knew what he was capable of. Now he will test his powers out on the Shimura clan. Steering his gaze forward, Naruto looked outward onto the horizon as he channeled his chakra to the bottom of his horse's souls. Here we go. Kagura found herself waking up from a night of dreamless sleep, and she momentarily forgot where she was. Looking around her surroundings, she saw that she was once again in her father's commander tent, but he was nowhere in sight. Wiggling around in the chair she was sleeping in, Kagura noticed that her father's favorite coat was keeping her warm. She has been thinking with her father inside the tent for the last 2 days, and there was no great breakthrough yet. Odu-sama must have gone somewhere already, thought the young woman as she rubbed her eyes free of any drowsiness. The sound of a small whimper beside Kagura made her look down to her side, and she smiled when she saw her own little Ninken. Hey Shiroi-chan, chirped the Inuzuka heiress with a smile as she scratched her darling dog behind his ear. Shiroi was complete covered with wilt fur and had a pair of bright blue eyes. Kagura had chosen him as her Ninken the moment he was born from her older brother's Ninken, and she had cared for the dog like her own flesh and blood. Kagura sighed as she turned to the side and kissed Shiroi on the top of his head. How are you feeling, Shiroi-chan? The Ninken snuggled against his master's legs and whimpered. Kagura sighed and rubbed her best friend tenderly. I know. I'm scared too, boy. Shiroi leaned up and licked around Kagura's face, making her giggle. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the sound of the battle horn sounded through the whole base, and a sudden fear struck Kagura like a bolt of lightning. Shit! Cursed the girl as she ran out of the tent with her Ninken. By the sound of the horn, everyone in the encampment sprang into action. They were all trying to get to their posts as quickly as possible. Kagura watched as her clansmen all rushed back and forth to grab their weapons and equipment to fend the incoming attack, and at that moment, she knew that many of them would not come back alive. The familiar feeling of utter dread came upon the girl once again, and she forced her legs to move from where she motionlessly stood. Grabbing the nearest spear, Kagura ran along with her clansmen. Where is Odu-sama? Asked Kagura authoritatively to a man at her side. The man looked grim. The commander is already at the battlefront. Kagura felt a bolt of fear jolt down her spine as she sped up as fast as she could to rush to the battlefield. Her father was still wounded from the last battle, and their sudden ambush must be intended to kill him. Kagura cursed the Shimura clan inside her heart as she gripped her spear tightly in her hands. Shiroi was running alongside his master obediently despite his fear. He wanted to fight alongside Kagura no matter what. As Kagura edged up to the battlefield, the sounds of battle already filled her senses like an unwanted disease. From far, she could see a large dust cloud that had taken over the majority of the battlefield, and it housed where the strongest shinobi were fighting. Invisible blades of wind were flying through the battlefield like pestering lethal flies, and bodies were once again dropping one after another. Blood was flowing freely on the ground, and slowly painted the grass red. Kagura cursed her own heightened sense of smell as the stench of blood filled her nose. On the other side of the battlefield was Kai Shimura, the eldest son of the Shimura clan leader. Shimura Bakura. Lately the son of the leader had often taken charge and fought on the battlefield as the leader of the Shimura forces, and he was not far off from his father. Kai was as ruthless and cold-blooded as his father, but he was somewhat justified since they were in war. Sympathy in war was just idiotic. It is the survival of the fittest, and the strongest will win, that is the only rule in war. Kei's personal guards were clashing blades with Shinrei, and the older leader was already breathing heavily. "Damn you, Shimura," muttered Shinrei as he Ninken panted next to him. Kai smirked as he sat calmly on his horse. "Come on Shinrei Dono, my father assured me that you would at least be able to offer a decent challenge." Shinrei cried out fiercely and ran forward with his Ninken. "Suga, Pierce!" cried the man as he jumped and spun his body around with Hiromaru. They crashed into one of Kei's guards and sent him flying into the distance. The vortex of Inuzuka power continued to tear up the battlefield, but it was not enough. The 5 remaining guards of Kai all formed simultaneous hand signs. "Futon, Kei's no Yeba blades of wind technique," announced the group of men as blades of razor-sharp wind form around their stretched palms. They all rushed to the leader of the Inuzuka, eager to end the war by killing the old man. Jinjukandi Henge, Sotaro, human-beast combination transformation, double-headed wolf. A cloud of smoke concealed Shinrei from view, and when the smoke cleared, a large 2-headed wolf as shown. Its large fangs and dripping jaws threatened to tear all Shimuras to pieces as he jumped into the air. Chogoroga, Super Fang Wolf Fang. The giant vortex of centrifugal force smashed through 4 of the guards and their blade effortlessly. Kai smirked. "You still have 2 left." Shinrei stopped and turned back at Kai. "You bastard." The dead faces of his children came back to his eyes as he howled in anger. "Die!" cried Shinrei as he charged at Kai at his full speed. Suddenly 2 shadows emerged hovering just above the large wolf body of Shinrei, and before he could react, he felt extreme pain pierce his 2 sides. Grunting, Shinrei fell to the ground and reverted back to his original form, Hiromaru lying beside him. The Shimura commander chuckled. "Now this is the end." Shinrei felt his strength leaving him as he pushed himself up. There was a deep wound on his right side, and he looked down to see that his Ninken had the same wound on his left. "Damn it!" cursed the Inuzuka leader as he glared at Kai with his primal anger. "This is not over. I will avenge my son and daughter." This time Kai himself jumped off of his horse and delivered a hard kick, right at Shinrei's face, sending him flailing backwards to the ground. "Just like you clan. All bark and no bite." Shinrei spat out some blood from his mouth, and stood up once again. "I will not die so easily," muttered the man as Hiromaru made his saw to his side. "And you will not underestimate the Inuzuka clan." "Odu-sama!" cried Kagura as she landed right beside her father with her spear ready. Shinrei actually didn't want his daughter to be here. "Kagura-chan! What are you doing here?" It was left to Kagura to rule the Inuzuka if Shinrei died, and he was worried that if the both died the clan would be left without a leader. Kagura looked at her father with conviction. "I will help you fight this battle." Shiroi was right by his master's side and growled over at Kai. Kai smirked when he laid eyes on Kagura. "I got to say Shinrei Dono, this daughter of yours is much more beautiful than your other one," said the young man with a slick tone that made Shinrei and Kagura sick. "How about you hand her over to me, so she can live on after your clan is destroyed?" Kagura growled in pure hatred and anger. "You bastard!" cried the girl as she charged up to Kai with her spear. "Kagura no!" cried the Inuzuka leader as he ran after her. Kai smirked and easily sliced Kagura's spear in 2, and caught her in his arms. You smell good," muttered the man as he sniffed Kagura's neck. Kagura growled and kicked over her shoulder, but Kai caught her leg and held it in place. "You are flexible too. That makes it so much more fun. Let go of my daughter." cried Shinrei as he sent a claw at Kai, forcing him to separate from his daughter. Kai jumped back and laughed out loud for all to hear. You are all so pathetic. It is hard to believe that such weaklings would even need someone of our caliber to battle. Sneered the man. I guess your name says it all, you are all nothing but dogs. Kagura and Shinrei were shaking in rage as the battle stormed on around them. You will pay for this. Shinrei sped forward and grabbed the broken spear of his daughters from the ground. Die! Cried the man as he stabbed his hand forward, aiming the spear at Kai's heart. Kai merely caught the spear and sliced it to pieces with his wind. Do you ever have anything else to say? Asked the man rhetorically as he kicked Shinrei back. Odu-sama! Cried Kagura as she ran forward to catch her father. Are you all right? Shinrei coughed out some blood as he looked up at his daughter. Run, Kagura-chan. You can't beat this man, run before he could kill us both. Kai smirked when he heard what Shinrei said. I won't kill your daughter if she shows me a good time. I need a good stress relief. Kagura glared at Kai and stood up fiercely. I will rather die than to have anything to do with a pig like you. Muttered the girl as Kai's smile dimmed a little. The Shimura clan will never be as powerful as us, we have our bonds and ties with each other, and you are all just pigs fighting to your last men because of some money. Kai started to glare at Kagura. We will always have our integrity and honor, and you Shimura will forever rot in hell for your evil. Die, you wench! Cried Kai as he raised his wind-covered hand. I will kill all of you dogs. Shinrei watched on his horror as the man neared his daughter with his wind blade. Kagura-chan. Kagura's eyes remained focused and fierce. She knew that she may die right here and now, but she would accept it with no fear. Just as Kai was about to slash open Kagura's throat, he suddenly felt a jolting pain on his right leg. Everyone's attention were drawn to the sudden spew of blood from Kai's leg as it was sliced off of his body. Ch-ch-ch-ch-ch, cried the man in pain as he began to fall. Kagura and Shinrei's eyes widened when a man holding tri-pronged kunai suddenly appeared in front of them and slashed away at Kai's leg. The two remaining guards of the young Shimura quickly caught their leader and jumped back. Kai was still screaming with abandon as blood continued to flow freely from his gaping wound. Shinrei looked up at the blonde man. Who are you? The blonde man looked back and smiled kindly at Shinrei. I have come to help. Suddenly, the sounds of many battle horns were blared from behind the main battle. Shinrei, Kagura, and all the others looked back to the edge of the battlefield to see a huge army heading their way. The ground was rumbling from the united footsteps of the hundreds of shinobi charging their way, and from far people would see the banners proudly shown to all. It was a peculiar swirl that everyone present knew. It was the Uzumaki clan. Mito was leading the army on her horse as she sped down the grasslands with her katana drawn. Destroy the Shimura clan! Ordered the heiress as the Uzumaki soldiers all cried out for battle. The loud united yell resonated through everyone's ears. Naruto smirked and nodded. You got it, Mito, said the man as he turned back to the shocked Kai and his guards. The blonde man threw his kunai at the Shimura leader, and the moment before the one of the guards blocked it, Naruto caught it in his hands again. His icy blue eyes barred into the soul of the three Shimura men. Die! Muttered Naruto as he sliced through the jugulars of the two guards within a split second. Kai fell to the ground and was scrambling in pain. Please. Before he could say any more, Naruto appeared in front of him, sneered at him. Rasengan. A blue orb of spinning chakra grinded into Kai's body and forced him further into the ground. His cries of pain and anguish could not be heard over the earth grinding against Naruto's spinning chakra. The dome of chakra erupted from the ground as the Rasengan tore it apart, and when it died down, Kai's body could no longer even be found. It was grinded to pieces. Shinrei was up on his feet as Kagura supported his side. The Uzumaki clan. Naruto ironed his gaze in front of him and stretched out his hand with a thumbs up. Yeah. That's it for this part. If you enjoyed it, then like, share and subscribe for the next video as it's going to be more interesting, and also check out the other playlist. Hope you would like them too.